Welcome back. Appreciate you making us a part of your Saturday here on Inside Carolina Live. Tommy, we've had a really strong run of champions, if not championship basketball. And we felt like we'd extend that today. And we'll go to the '05 squad. Baltimore's finest, Melvin Scott. Melvin, how you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you guys?
If I was any better, I would be you shooting against NC State and Raleigh your senior year. Melvin, listen, man. I think one of the hot topics that everybody has talked about is kind of how this season ended for Carolina, but not in wins and losses. The fact that they made a choice, whether it was Coach Davis's choice or the team's choice or whomever you choose to believe there, they made a choice to not play in the NIT tournament, and that point itself has been kind of beaten to death. That's not what we're going for. I would love to ask you, as a guy who played in both the NIT, but also got to the mountaintop, getting a ring in the NCAA's. How does that process for you? How does that go through your head? How does that hit you?
Uh, Obviously, it's different, right? I think you know we're on the outside looking in, so obviously coaches, the coaching staff, and the guys they know what's best for what they're dealing with as far as the mentality, injuries,
Hmm.
wherever they are. Um, for me, my experience is when we played in it, some guys really didn't want to do it, right? But a guy like me, I love to play basketball. I love to compete. My whole life, I had to fight and compete for things, so I was no stranger to that. To put on that jersey, a guy like me, where I'm from, Baltimore, Maryland, not a lot of guys get that opportunity to be recruited to come to a school like UNC. Michael Jordan was my idol. I looked up to him, and it was a dream come true for me to be able to sign and put the jersey on. So for guys that it's their last go around, not to be able to put the jersey on again, I think about those guys first, by us not going into the NIT. And just for me personally, I mean, I just love to play. And when we played it, and I gave it my all. Uh, I played well, and I was just trying to prove myself. And then the next year, Coach Roy Williams got the job. So I would like to think, the way I played in the NIT kind of catapulted me or got me into the next role the next year and starting because I played really well. So for my personal reason, I mean, I always love to play, but I guess coach and the guys know what's best for the team right now.
I mean, a lot of people would say they don't expect a kid from Federal Hill to be turning down any opportunity to hoop, right? So, Melvin, another question I'd ask you is this team is obviously dealing with some turnover right now and some turmoil just because of the way the season went. Nobody was really happy with the results inside the Smith Center. You faced some adversity in your career. Uh,
Yes.
what do you think the mindset is for some of these kids who they're really making hard choices right now? Some have opted to leave the program because they feel like it's better for their situation if they go somewhere else. There are some kids who are opting to stay with the program for the same reasons. What was your mental approach, and did you ever consider anything like that? And I guess the second part would be, how would you approach it if one of your teammates was making a decision to opt out of the program and go somewhere where he thought it would be better fit for him?
Yeah. Again, times are so much different now. Uh, when I played, there were some guys like weren't happy with their roles or whatever, and they talked about, oh man, I might transfer or whatever. And but now, it's the wild wild west. Like everybody's has so much power and leverage as players that you can go in the transfer portal in any day and play right away, wherever school you go to. So I think the times have changed. The position of the players in power has changed. Um, I think my advice would to be to just take a breath and not make any decision based on emotions. They're never the right decisions. Adversity is going to happen in basketball. UNC, everybody expect to win, expect us to win. When you sign to come to Carolina, all you're thinking is national championships, NCAA tournaments. But there have been some tough years there, and I've endured those. And I tell you what, there is a brighter day, always, and not just on the basketball court. In life, life is hard; it's not easy, and I think some know how to deal with it, some don't. Some have, different options or escape routes, or whatever the fans, whoever want to see it as. But I would like to think that families and players and coaches know what's best for their situation.
Talking to Melvin Scott, 2005 national champion, North Carolina guard. Melvin and Jawad and Jackie Manuel certainly have as much uh, leverage to discuss what's going on these days as anybody that's ever been in the North Carolina basketball program. Melvin, you saw it all, literally, at North Carolina while you were there. Um, Let me sort of ask a little bit about your journey. And you and I talked back on the next level with Greg Barnes and Will Blythe a month or so ago, and I think folks need to check that out if they haven't watched it because it's a fabulous interview. Um, but the I asked you about the bench question, and you had a great answer and a great response, and I kind of want to revisit that. A lot of guys go to college expecting they're going to play, and they're going to play a lot. And when you get somewhere, you realize that that might not be the case. Well, these days, you can pack up and leave and go play somewhere else. Wasn't really like that back when you were at North Carolina. Just sort of talk about your journey from getting to Carolina, the struggles that you guys endured as a team, and they're well documented. And I'm sure not to the extent that it was actually, but then going from that to a starter, and then you weren't a starter, but you were a national champion. Just sort of share some of that with us because I think it's fascinating to listen to.
Yeah, I think one thing when I was in high school in that era, I was one of the best players in Maryland and on the East Coast. When you go to college, everybody's thinking good. And the first time I saw Marvin Williams run up and down the basketball court, I revisited that time I saw 6'8" guys that's faster than I am. That's mind boggling. That's mind blowing. So, to get on that next level and everyone as good as you are, I mean, you guys have a certain level of maturity and like, oh man, all right, let me revisit this. And to take a step back, when Coach Darty recruited me, he said that I need you to play some point guard. And I've never played point guard in my life. I was a point guard trapped in a two guard body. Like I'm a two guard trapped in a point guard's body. I mean, just 6'2", and I played two guard all my life. But just the opportunity to put that jersey on and sign with Carolina, I said, I'll do it. I'll figure it out. Right. So I'll do whatever it takes. Coming off the bench was not easy. But I'm like, you know what? If it's for the betterment of the team, and when I understand about winning and buying into winning, and everybody benefits from winning, it wasn't easy to do. But once I settled in, it's like, all right, I can do this. And you got the brothers around you, your teammates that try to help you get through it. So that's important. I think nowadays when coaches recruit or sell that pitch, and I heard stories about Dean Smith talking to Michael Jordan and all these highly recruited guys. And I can't promise you you'll start. It's the stories I hear that Coach Smith used to tell guys. But I promise you you'll get better. And when you leave here, you'll be a better player, a better person. And so I think that part, just being brutally honest with these kids. And hey, man, look, you're the man from where you're from. But here we got a group of guys that were the men where they're from. And just if it's not about the team and what's on the front of that jersey, then you're probably in the wrong place.
That is it's fascinating to listen to you describe it. Hubert Davis doesn't play the bench that much. It is what it is 2 years in. But tell me about having to be relied on to make some foul shots on the biggest stage that you had to do in the NCAA tournament when you're not playing 35, 45, 30 or 40 minutes a game like some of these guys. I mean, how difficult was that, A? And then B, your mindset. You mentioned as long as we win. I'll never forget Max Owens told me in the locker room 23 years ago, I guess, whenever he was there, he wasn't playing much. He said, I do not care as long as we win.
Mm-hmm.
As long as we win. It changes if we're not winning, but as
Oh yeah.
long as we win. And so just sort of walk us through that NCAA tournament and sort of the weight that was placed on your shoulders there, and you were ready to answer the bell when it happened.
Yeah, I think my upbringing. I was raised by a single mom, strong lady. very prideful, had character, always wanted to do the right thing. And just, make it, it's a saying, if you make it out of Baltimore, you can make it anywhere. And so, again, all my life I've been tested. It has been a roller coaster. And being able to deal with the highs and the lows and being even killed, I think that prepared me for that moment. I think, staying the course, like life is going to happen to you. It's what you decide to do with it. It's funny, leading up into the NCAA, I had some friends who would come to the Smith Center with me and shoot at night. And they're goofing off. They're running into the support system. They're making noises. They're pulling their shorts down. And I'm shooting free throws, and I'm laughing. And I'm just like, what are you guys doing? They're like, you never know what'll happen. I'm like, yeah, the fans probably can't pull their pants down while I'm shooting free throws. I mean, maybe at Duke, but no, what are we doing, guys? And you almost killed yourself running into the support system. But we talk about that when we all get together. And you never know when your moment's going to come. That's why you got to stay ready. Just preparation. And it's funny because I always talk about my son because I try to, the steps I missed, I revisit those with him. And he's shooting free throws this morning. We get a lot of 6 a.m.s in. And I'm like, son, if you're practicing that shot the wrong way one time, like we're wasting our time. You get nothing out of that. So do it the right way every single time. It's muscle memory because you never know when your time is going to be called. And people just don't believe it's going to happen. Okay, I'm not going to go through the free throw line. And as a kid, I would dribble up 3, 2, 1, and if I miss, okay, I got fouled or something. We take it out. We do it again until I make it. And when I'm at the free throw line, as a kid, I painted the picture. We were playing against Duke. We were down 1, 2 free throws. And I'm making those shots, right? Like I just always dreamed and always had this vision in my head. So I was always a dreamer and believer, no matter what the circumstances. I mean, people count me out my whole life, but I always believed deep down inside that if I got the opportunity, I would take advantage of it. And that's what I try to instill in these young people that I coach and do skill training, and even the guys that are currently on the UNC team that I get a chance to talk with. Like people don't believe it, but every guy on that bench is so important. Developing your bench is so important because you never know when you're going to need them.
I love that perspective. One of the things I love about talking with former players, that especially ones that have, like you guys got a ring, is trying to, I guess, extrapolate a little bit about what their difference is watching games as a fan when you're not actually, out there playing. So one of the things I want to ask you, share with us your thoughts this year, because you're a shooter. Share with us your thoughts this year in watching this team. They barely missed being the worst perimeter shooting team in Carolina basketball history by a couple of percentage points. There was a point in February where they were the worst shooting perimeter team in Carolina history. What is going through your head as a shooter when you're watching that team struggle this year? And not necessarily just individual players. I mean, just the whole locker room struggled from beyond the arc as a whole.
Well, my saying is shooters don't think, we shoot. The moment you think, you're going to miss it. And I see what a lot of people don't see. It's the quality of shots. It's mental, right? Like Caleb Love can shoot the basketball. These kids can shoot. I've watched them at practice, hit 10 in a row with hands in your face, guys running out. It's just the quality of shots. Guys working to get another guy's shot. And you'll see the good teams that shoot the ball well. They got 5 guys on the floor that's trying their best to get a guy a really great shot. And for me, I'm just like, I'll do anything to try to help these guys. If I have to volunteer my time to do shooting, which I do, to go over there and help in any capacity. And again, everybody think they have the remedy for it. And Coach Lebo and all those guys, I know that staff is working tremendously hard to help these guys. A lot of it is just mental. And that part fans don't understand. And quality of shots and pressing, like Caleb Love, like, a guy like him, he's supposed to be a highly a top pick in the NBA draft. Maybe people don't see that now, but those are pressures that's on these kids, and it's not easy. And when you're not winning, it's just compounding, and you're at UNC. And another thing that people don't understand, I played against Chris Paul, and Chris Paul and a lot of other guys wanted to come to UNC. Back in the day, you're so fortunate to get a scholarship to Carolina. And every single guy you play against wants that jersey or wanted that jersey. And I tell you guys, Chris Paul would try to run Raymond Felton. I mean, he wanted to play so well against Raymond Felton. And we had conversations like, Raymond, let me guard him because he's trying to go 100 miles an hour at you. He's trying I got him. I'm like, bro, trust me. And Raymond, he'll attest this. And not that I'm a better defender, but I think he's got more of an edge because they recruited you and not him. Not to say you're better or he's better. But when you put on the UNC jersey, every time you step on the floor, you're going to get everyone's A game. And I think guys, they don't understand that today. But it's a real thing. It's so real. You're going to get everybody's A game. You're going to get the coaches on the other side. Everybody wants to beat you. Like they can't sleep the night before because they see this logo. They want to beat you. Where is it? There it is. They want to. I'm sitting. No jokes aside. They want to beat you. My kids I coach now. What's up with your Tigers? Oh, they're not in the tournament. I'm like, bro, relax. Enjoy the tournament while you can. Enjoy it. Everyone wants to beat you because UNC's been on top for so daggone long.
Melvin, we appreciate you making time for us on a Saturday morning. Listen, I'm going to go ahead and plant the seed now. At some point, I want to do a live discussion of The Wire from a guy that lived in Baltimore. So at some point, we will do that. And I don't know how we'll position that for Inside Carolina, but it's absolutely the best TV show ever made. And so I would love to hear from a guy who lived that, that Baltimore experience. Maybe not that so much, but lived in Baltimore and saw all that stuff. So we'll set that up for another time. Maybe if Tommy will ever watch The Wire, we'll let him in.
Hey, I've watched The Wire.
You watched it?
Okay. All right. Fair enough. I thought it was one that I thought it was one you blew us up on one show in the past where you said you hadn't seen it and you felt very proud that you hadn't seen it. Anyway,
I watched The Wire now.
Melvin Scott, we appreciate it, man. We'll set something up in the very near future, but thanks for giving us some time and some perspective on a Saturday morning.
For sure, man. Thank you guys for having me.